G'day and welcome back to the vlog. Now, unfortunately the lighting, it's spring, and as I always say, because I always end up doing it in natural lighting and it's really crap. So yeah, the sun's coming and going, it's the white balance will change, all sorts of issues. So just ignore those and I'm just going to focus on what I'm saying. That's the important part. Now, today I want to talk about regulations. Oh my God, this is new, isn't it? No, it's another vlog about regulations, and it comes on the back of a video that Alan Yu posted. And again, I refer to Alan Yu because he keeps people informed with what's happening in Canada. Oh, God, just about knocked the camera over. He keeps people informed with what's happening in Canada, with Transport Canada and their rules and regulations. And recently they had a conference call inviting recreational model flyers, drone flyers, whatever, to listen in and ask questions and so forth. It was a technical fiasco by the look of it, which kind of makes you worried about if they can't run a webcast or a conference call, how can they make up decent regulation? But let's move right along. I want to talk a bit about the new regulations that are proposed for Canada. The Transport Canada says they're risk-based. Well, that's got to be a good thing, but do they know how to calculate risk? Because if they're like the rest of the world, as I mentioned in my last vlog about the helicopter, which was hit by a drone, they don't know how to calculate risk. They pull figures out of their backsides and say, this is the risk, without any reference to what's happened before or any true understanding of what's involved in this technology and what the capabilities are and what the limitations are. They're all working third hand. Not good enough. And Transport Canada is no difference. Now, they've created three categories under these new regulations. They've got the very small, the small limited, and the small complex. Why could they make it more difficult? Anyway, if you're under 250 grams, don't have to worry about it. They're not interested unless you're posing a risk to aviation. So the little craft, that's fine. That may be where the hobby ends up now, honestly. They may have, in Canada, you may be forced to fly small, sub 250 gram models because anything else is going to be such a pain in the backside. Let me talk a bit through it. Now, where are we? I've got to find where I'm up to here. Oh yes. So very small is 250 grams to 1 kilogram, and in the very small category, you've got to be at least 14 to fly a model. Seriously? Are you kidding me, Transport Canada? This is a hobby that young kids have enjoyed for decades without risk to anyone. I think I built my first model aircraft when I was about 7. It was a rubber-powered model, and yeah, that would have been sub 250 grams. But after that, I built a free flight payload model, which would have weighed, it was quite a big one. It would have weighed probably a kilo, maybe a bit more. So I wouldn't have been allowed to fly it. I think I was about 10 at the time. I wouldn't have been allowed to fly that under Transport Canada's rules. No, it's too heavy, it's too dangerous, you're going to be 14. And I think I built my first radio control model at about 12, saved up for a year to buy my radio control system. And the plane itself weighed 3.5 pounds, which is, what's that? That's well over a kilo. Well over a kilo, getting on for a kilo and 2/3 or something. So that's I couldn't have done that. I would have been breaking Transport Canada's laws, or if a kid today tried to do that, they'd break Transport Canada's laws if they weren't at least 14 years old. So we're saying to young children, you may not enjoy this hobby except with little toys. You can't really fly proper models except for little toys. Oh, wow, what a Grinch. Imagine this Christmas comes. And, well, perhaps not this Christmas, because it's going to be a year or a year and a half before these regulations come into effect, if they do. Imagine Christmas. You've got to make sure that if you're buying a child a radio controlled model or a model of any kind of flying model, it has to be under 1 kilo if they are less than 14 years of age. This is rubbish. This is, excuse my French, but it's bullshit, honestly. And then you've got to have $100,000 of insurance cover. How much is that going to cost? You go there now and try and find $100,000 of public liability insurance cover for flying model aircraft or drones. It will cost you hundreds of dollars a year. It'll cost you more than you could buy 6 or 7 models for that price. Excuse me, but why are you placing such a huge burden on a hobby which has proven itself to be incredibly safe over many, many decades of operation? Where do these bureaucrats get this risk from? Where do they work that out? And here's another clincher. The maximum speed is 25 knots. Now, what's that in miles an hour? I think that's probably like 33 miles an hour or something. I can't be bothered calculating. 33 miles an hour? Seriously? That's 55 to 60 kilometers an hour. Are you shitting me? Seriously? I mean, this is an AXN we're talking about here. Actually, no, it's not. It's not even an AXN. It's lighter than an AXN. It's under 1 kilo. What? I mean, oh, seriously? But let's move on to the limited category. That's the next one up. That's 1 kilogram to 25 kilograms. What? Hang on. Isn't this supposed to be risk-based? But we have one set of rules that covers from 1 kilo to 25 kilos. What? That's a 25 times, the lightest versus the heaviest, 25 times. But apparently they're all the same risk. A 1.1 kilo quadcopter, like a Phantom 4 apparently, is exactly the same risk as an Inspire, with its much bigger rotor blades and carbon fibre and more power and so forth. Come on, Transport Canada. Again, are you shitting me? Have you not seen these two crafts side by side? Do you not know the difference? Do you not realise that Inspire is a much more dangerous craft than a Phantom? What's going on? These people obviously haven't seen them side by side, or they're just being stupid. I don't know which it is, but it's not good enough, really. And if you want to fly a Phantom 4 or something that, or this is AXN territory right now. This is like your AXN. You've got to be 16 years old. We cannot have people under 16 flying an AXN. It's just way too dangerous. And you've got to have the $100,000 insurance. And this is where it gets unbelievable. Transport Canada, where is your head at? You realise that if you want to fly an AXN in Canada under these new proposed regulations, you've got to maintain technical records of airtime, maintenance, modifications and repairs. So every time you fly your AXN, you've got to make a little note in a notebook with a flight log. And if you, for example, if you have a little crash and you've got to put some hot glue on, you've got to write that down as repairs. It's not a frickin' 747, people. It's a toy plane. What's come over Transport Canada? Seriously, you cannot apply the same kinds of procedures and restrictions on a foam plane as you do to a Cessna 172. This is ludicrous. And the other interesting thing is, if your model weighs under or between 250 grams and 1 kg, your maximum speed is 25 knots, because it's dangerous, isn't it? But if you've got a much bigger, heavier model, well, you can fly that thing at 87 knots. Now, do Transport Canada not understand how to calculate the energy of an object? You know, mass and velocity. Obviously, they've got no clues here. They don't have any clues because they seem to think that a small, lightweight object is more dangerous at a given speed than a bigger, heavy object. No, it's not. Go back to school, you people. And then, even if you pass all those other requirements with your AXN, and because of course you have to sit an exam for all of these things. You've got to sit an exam to prove you know what you're doing and how to tie your shoelaces. But even if you pass those criteria and you've got your AXN, if you do a loop, you are in such big trouble because no aerobatics are allowed. So if your AXN does a loop, you could be facing a $750 fine or something. Oh, come on. So no kids, no loops, everything's got to be done. Where's the fun? Why don't you just say no fun? That's all you want to do. Just say no fun is allowed. You know, we're not going to let you people have fun. My goodness me, no. Oh, you people, you're so ignorant. And then here it goes. I know this is Canada, right? And Canada gets quite cold, doesn't it? I know, yeah, a lot of snow in the winter and stuff. You know, Canada can be really cold. But your AXN will need to have icing and de-icing equipment. Seriously, honest, it's true. Just look at the LNU video. It must have icing and de-icing requirements. Seriously? You're going to put what on your AXN to stop it icing up? Oh, and what happens if it did ice up? Who gives a damn? Oh, no. I mean, really? Come on. Seriously, Transport Canada. This is just so way bent out of shape. You people, you are the quintessential desk pilots. You know nothing, but you claim to know everything. And this will produce bad regulation. And do you know what happens when you have bad regulation? The people you're trying to influence here are going to go, we don't give a damn, you guys are lunatics. We're just going to do what we want to do. And that's what will happen. Now, of course, Transport Canada say, oh, but if you fly at an MAAC airfield or, you know, model transport, what is it, the Canadian Model Aircraft Association, if you fly at one of their fields, then you're exempt from all this. But again, Transport Canada doesn't seem to understand that established model flying organisations have far less relevance today than they did 20 years ago. So many people today buy a foam model. They might buy an AXN off Hobby King, and they'll put it together and they'll go out to the park and fly it. Well, you guys, you can't do it. In fact, you can't even fly in the park because you can't fly in built-up areas. You have to go to the complex, which means you've got to sit exams and get them refreshed every 2 years, and you're going to be treated like the pilot of a light aircraft if you want to fly your AXN in a park. No. So But even the complex thing, they say, oh, you know, if you do all these exams and all this stuff, then you get extra special privileges. You can do stuff that these other guys can't do. But as it's written, you won't be able to fly a multi-rotor over a crowd because the regulations say if you're going to fly over a crowd, you have to be over 300 feet altitude. So you're not going to get very good pictures from 300 feet, are you, if you're trying to, you know. And also, you must be able to glide clear. Multi-rotors don't glide, people. Honestly, they don't glide. Anyone who's had a motor failure or a prop failure or even a controller failure will tell you they do not glide. And also, this shows the ignorance. Transport Canada are treating these things like manned aircraft because with manned aviation, if you're flying over an area, you must do so at an altitude that allows you to glide clear in the event of an engine failure. But to be honest, motor or engine failure is not the biggest risk associated with unmanned craft, model aircraft or drones. That's not the biggest risk. The biggest risks are control link failure and other failures, which mean that you have no control over your craft. If the control link fails, or if you throw a blade on a propeller, you'd no longer have any control. Your craft will plummet to the ground and hit whatever is below it. So, glide clear? Seriously? No, this is not going to have, you can't glide these damn things. So, Transport Canada, really seriously, what the hell are you doing? You've proven way, beyond any shadow of a doubt that you just do not have a clue what you're doing in respect to unmanned aircraft, RPAS or UAVs or drones or whatever you want to call them. You have effectively, or you plan to destroy one of the best hobbies in the world by hiking the age limit to 14 or 16, banning aerobatics, forcing the fitting of de-icing equipment, what good's that in midsummer, or at all, and requiring people to go out and buy hundreds of dollars worth of insurance. Now, this is interesting because Transport Canada, people have asked, where do we get this insurance from? And Transport Canada, in their naivety, say, well, insurance companies will ante up with this. They'll come up with a package that is reasonably priced. Seriously? Have they not spoken to the insurance industry? They won't do anything to give cheap insurance because they've been listening to, if you look at these, you think, my God, the risk is so great because you've got all these really restrictive regulations. How could we possibly even want to insure these people with their drones and their model aircraft? The huge level of risk. They're not going to do it for a few bucks or even, $50. It's going to be really expensive. And of course, if the insurance industry doesn't play ball, then everybody is grounded unless you've got enough money to spend hundreds on an insurance policy. And of course, you can join an MAAC club and fly in a grassy field in the middle of nowhere, but most people who have drones do not want to fly their Phantom 4 over a grassy field in the middle of nowhere because there's nothing to see there. They want to be able to get nice picturesque, scenic shots and all sorts of things, and unfortunately under these regulations ain't going to happen. So Canada, model flyers and drone flyers in Canada, you have my extreme sympathies, but it's up to you. You have to get off your bums and say, this isn't good enough. We refuse to accept these regulations because they are just too draconian, too onerous, too unrealistic. You need to get off your bums and do it. Go to your politicians. Go, write letters to Transport Canada. Go to the media and explain the lunacy of this, that they are banning children from a hobby. How can you do that? Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. So there you go. That's enough from me on this subject. And it's a rant. It's not a vlog, it's a rant. But I think it's a rant everyone should listen to. And not just listen. Get off your bums and do something. If you're a Canadian, if you don't do something about this, then you've only got yourselves to blame when you find yourself either facing big fines or stuck at home looking at your models hanging on the wall. And you better hope they don't fall off the wall because you probably get a $750 fine for flying in a built-up area before it hits the floor. There you go. That's it. Thanks for watching. Comments in the usual place if you like. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Lots of stuff on this channel, not just rants, but there's some information and people having fun with models. Watch it while you can. If you live in Canada, it may become a piece of Canadian history very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.